When choosing between WordPress and HubSpot, which is the best, and why do you hate WordPress?
It's a bit of a running joke, and I think it's typically because when we've got on WordPress websites, we've taken on ones that have been built badly.
Is that because WordPress sites are easy to build badly?
Yes.
Okay.
So you get all these page builder things, Elementor, WP Bakery.
You can add in endless amounts of plugins. You can have extra fields along with your Elementor. The content can be anywhere on WordPress for that one site. You don't really need to do anything dev-wise with it. You can make a mess of it without coding anything.
And it makes it great for anyone to go and build a website and do what they want, which is where the problem comes in, because they go and do what they want, and it's not always people maybe with full developer's eye or designer's eye that's building it, so it just looks a mess. They add in all this functionality, so it slows pages down. There's a lot of code getting loaded in. So generally speaking, by the time we're looking at it, we're just going, oh, right, where do we start for unpicking this?
Websites being badly built is the main challenge. Have we ever actually taken a new client on board? They've got a WordPress website, and actually whoever built it's done a pretty good job of it. We don't talk about specific clients in this podcast.
I think there is probably one that wasn't too bad. There was a few things that was a bit slow and a little bit kind of out of place, but it's been a lot easier to knock it into shape and bring things into a bit of consistency.
Did you both work on that?
Yeah.
So if you kind of build a WordPress site using those tools from the start and take that into account from the start, it's not a bad thing to do.
You mean like built properly using a page builder?
Built properly, so you're designing it from the start, taking into account, right, we're going to have this functionality there, make sure that any scripts and things that's used are kept to a minimum, so the site speed's not getting cranked up and it's being slow and a poor user experience, having things flashing and moving everywhere as you scroll down the page. Just because all the tools are there in these page builders doesn't mean you should use them.
Yeah, because it's just a case of installing a plugin, and any half-wit can install a plugin, and suddenly your website does some more stuff, but you don't really think about the implications of that. Okay. Well, HubSpot's got a page builder. So
with HubSpot, you can get the off-the-shelf themes and templates there, but when we build them, we create all the modules, and we'll put some modules in to create the default page design, but then you also have the drag and drop areas where the clients can drag in their own stuff. So they do get that flexibility to design the pages themselves or remove layers that they don't want, but it saves them getting carried away.
It's all in one place. You're using one theme. It's only for that theme. Your options are only for that.
And all the code that you use is just loaded within the module. So if you don't use a module, it's not loading that code in. So that's kind of cutting back in the time. Whereas the likes of these page builder tools, they just load all the code in all the time, just in case you do decide to use it. Page speed insights kind of can be the bane of our life. Trying to get things
which is the tool that you can plug your website through that's provided by Google, which tells you why your website's so slow, which might be a ranking factor, probably is a ranking factor.
So because people can more readily see how slow the website actually is, before it's a case of you load it up and you're like, 1, 2, 3. But, Google goes away and does its little jiggery-pokery and kind of comes back and gives you within milliseconds what each item on your website is taken to load and where the savings can be made. I think that's making people more aware of it, and they're stripping back all the fluff that's not needed.
Because it's all maturing, and people are realizing that we don't need all that fluff. What we really need is great websites that get found in Google, that tell a great story, that persuade people to give us their details, pick up the phone, do whatever to make contact, and that way the website does its job.
The main thing that sells is good, honest content that's presented in an easily digestible way. If you make it difficult to read that content, then people are going to move on. So by removing those barriers, then it makes it easier. But that's not to say that those things are, you should remove them completely and just have a big white page with a big block of text on it, because that's not going to be easily digestible.
If you're talking to people about the benefits of, say, a self-hosted system, which I think a lot of people would think, having the technical capability that we've got, why would we prefer a system, a SaaS system like HubSpot, where you don't have to worry about the server and backups and all that stuff? It's kind of, here's the ecosystem, go build. over having something like WordPress where you can actually log into the root of the server and do stuff.
There's a pros and cons for both. The SaaS solution, it's great because there's someone else taking care of it. They run the updates. They, constantly putting out new functionality. HubSpot, they can put a feature out in a small number. We've seen them beta testing things, so they'll put something out and it'll be there for a wee while, and then it'll disappear again, and then they just drop it back in. The only problem is sometimes they drop it back in without actually telling us. They've dropped it back in again. And it's just when you're showing things to clients, as Amy discovered, that, it's kind of there.
The functionality I wanted was actually there.
Was that HubDB thing where suddenly the editor was back? And,
But they never made a big song and dance about it. So
well, it doesn't entirely happen behind the sines in HubSpot, does it? Because I get emails saying, "Oh, this theme has been updated. And this is updated."
If you
it still happens.
If you get an off-the-shelf theme, you get the updates from them saying this theme's updated, and you've got to go and install the update because they don't want to do that automatically in case you've gone and made changes and hard-coded it in the theme. So if they update it automatically, it could go and break the whole website. So it's up to you to go and get the latest version of that off-the-shelf theme to download and install. But whereas like WordPress, if they do a big release, you get a full changelog list of we've added this, we've added that, you can now do this and that. So it's quite good in that respect. But the thing with HubSpot is that they're keeping software updated, constantly migrating to the new version. And if something breaks, they will be on it. And they've got folk around the world 24/7, fixing these things and working on it. So it's not a case of if it breaks at 10 o'clock at night, sorry, we're not back in the office till 9 a.m. type thing. It's they'll have someone there somewhere.
Although it feels like it's expensive, the 24/7 support aspect of it and the infrastructure it's on, the speed it runs at, if it's built properly the way you guys do, it kind of makes that £300 a month or whatever the content management system costs just pale into insignificance.
Yeah,
even though WordPress is free and a server you can get for 30 bob and a fried fish.
Although WordPress is free, you're then paying for the hosting costs. But that's paying for our time to monitor the plugins, make sure they're up to date. If you run the update and the plugin breaks, you've then got to roll it back, find out why it broke, see if there's a new version, see if there's a patch, contact the devs of that plugin to then let them know that this broke and why, liaise with them back and forth, get the new version, test that out. Then
is anyone still awake?
Run it. You see, it's boring talking about it. Imagine how boring it is running it. So, that's the cons of doing the self-hosted thing. Of it's a lot of work and a lot of back and forth, and it's gotten worse. I mean, there's a lot more plugins out there, and the clients want more functionality because they see that, so they're installing more and more plugins into the site.
So the workload for keeping things up to date has increased.
I mean, I can go through
updates pretty much every day.
I can go through the WordPress sites, update all the plugins, have everything up to date, look at it 2 days later, and there's like another 50 updates across all the sites again. It's just like...
Purely from a dev point of view, you broadly prefer SaaS tools to the self-hosted tools? Or is it not as simple as that?
It's not as simple as that for me. I don't know about Amy. I mean, for me, the
Do
SaaS
you miss
thing,
some of the freedom that you maybe had with Joomla?
I mean, it's good with some of that, and where if something doesn't work, you can then just kind of, it's easier to go in and hard code something in and just say, right, this is what we're going to do. And then you've always maybe got that little niggle at the back of your head. It's like, well, HubSpot goes down or goes kaput. I know they're a multi-billion-dollar company, and
billion
chances,
anyway,
chances of them going. But it's that thing of if they did go kaput,
Yeah.
the website's gone. It's all in their system. Whereas if WordPress turned around and went, we're no longer running anymore, we're not doing any more updates, we've still got all that WordPress websites saved on our server. So they will still work, and we can keep them updated and make sure they don't get hacked, etc. Whilst then migrating clients onto something different that is going to be supported in the future. So there's always that niggle at the back of your head there with that bit where, it's better to have the copy of it, the site.
Going back to the Joomla days, 9 times out of 10, a client would say, we need a website and we need it to do X, Y, or Z, and we would know exactly which plugin component, as you were called in Joomla, would do that. Oh, I need a document management system. Great, we'll use Docman. I need an events management system. Right, we'll use JEvents. We had something. Now and again, we had to build a Joomla component from scratch, like we'd done for one of the oil service companies that we work for, where they needed an asset management system for sharing huge files with customers who weren't allowed to use Dropbox, for example. So we had to build a Joomla component to do that. But is it still the case that clients are asking for things and we have to sort of stop and think, how are we going to do that? And is that because we've started using some of the SaaS tools more as opposed to Joomla, where you've got full access and do whatever you like?
Joomla had like a plugin for or a component for absolutely everything. So
Just about, yeah.
If someone had asked for a HubSpot website doing a certain thing, you would know what it was in Joomla, but HubSpot doesn't necessarily have that. So you've got to create something new.
Well, there is an ever-increasing ecosystem of stuff for HubSpot as well now, isn't there?
Yeah,
Where
it
it's
is getting better.
And is that similar to Joomla, where someone's built like a document management system for HubSpot? I know you would probably use HubDB for that, but is that happening now?
Well,
plug and play add-ons.
There's a bit. I mean, with HubSpot, it's a lot easier to kind of create these modules yourself. So, with likes of WordPress and Joomla, you've got to go and create all the plugin files and code them in and add them in where you need. But with HubSpot, you can create a module. It's got your section for your HTML, your section for your CSS, your section for your JavaScript. So you can kind of go and code stuff in and lay it out all yourself, and it just then drags and drops into the template when you need it. You just automatically create this drag and drop module, or you can go and have a look in Google and see if someone else has created one like it and take that and adapt it. But there is the marketplace where people are selling some things, but it's not
quite
as
limited.
Do you feel less of a dev, the fact that you're using this SaaS-based ecosystem that HubSpot provides?
No, you probably do.
Well, you should.
You do more dev work with something like HubSpot than you do WordPress.
Do you?
Well, everyone uses the builders, or they've
Oh, right, okay. So, you'll have to figure out how to use like HubDB to create the functionality that the client wants, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just a different type of dev work. So it's the front end dev work rather than the back end dev work. When we're self-hosted sites, we do the back end dev work. I do a bit of that. Phil does quite a lot of it for us, and then the front end dev work doing all the template things. So it just gives us a bit more time to do the front end dev stuff.
Yeah.
That the client actually sees and probably appreciates more fully than
all the
back
other
end
stuff
that they can't see.